Here's a fun one. Take a drink every time I say leprechaun, and you'll probably pass out halfway through. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here, and to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and the beautiful month of March, we'll be taking a look at the first 3 films in the Leprechaun franchise. Now, originally, I was going to review each film individually, but there's just not much meat on the bone after the first entry. So that means you are getting a 3-for-1 deal here today, and I had never seen Leprechaun 2 or 3, so you're also getting 2 mini episodes of I Finally Watched It. As always, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I want to get that conversation going with you guys. Tell me which film is your favorite in the franchise, and how about your favorite kill? Alright, we're gonna get things started with the original Leprechaun that was released in 1993. The film was written and directed by Mark Jones, and it stars Warwick Davis, Jennifer Aniston, and Ken Olandt. This first film in the series is easily the best out of the 3 that I watched, and honestly it's the only one that really warrants a full review. Warwick Davis is so charming and kinda creepy, of course, as the Leprechaun. I really like the character design and the costume and makeup. They do a really good job of keeping him in the shadows, especially at the beginning of the film. And you see him a little bit more as the film progresses, but I really like this look of the Leprechaun they've got. He is mean-spirited, but also really jokey and humorous. He's got this obsession with shining shoes, which comes into play a few different times in the film. There's actually a really funny part in the 3rd act where they're trying to create a diversion so they can make a getaway, and they just start throwing shoes out, and the Leprechaun is running around. He's like, oh, I gotta shine this shoe. Oh, I gotta shine this shoe. And it's just one of those moments where you get a little more character. This film overall knows exactly what it is, and it's not trying to be something that it isn't, so I really respect that even though it's got a schlocky nature, it seems really tongue-in-cheek. Jennifer Aniston, I think, is very charming as Tori. She's not the most exciting character. She's kind of like the rich girl that just sort of complains about having to be out in the country. But there is something about the way she delivers her lines, her facial acting, and the way she works off of the other performers. You can tell that this is a star in the making. The plot of the film is relatively simple. It starts with an older Irish-American gentleman, Mr. O'Grady, who unfortunately lost his mother recently and has gone back to Ireland to have the ceremony and deal with all of that business. So we see him upon his return. He's drunk, he's showing up in a limousine. His wife wants to know what the heck is going on because they're just simple farmers, but he lets her know that they'll never have to worry about anything ever again because he's stolen a pot of gold from a leprechaun. I don't think that was the brightest idea, bud. Of course the Leprechaun wants his gold back and makes short work of Mrs. and Mr. O'Grady. We cut to about 10 years down the line, no one's touched the house, and Jennifer Aniston's Tori is moving in with her father, and she is none too pleased. You see, she's a city girl and likes things like malls and cell phones, which it's wild to see somebody using a cell phone. That was really, really rare stuff. Like, you had to be rich to have a cell phone back then. So long story short, they find the pot of gold, they unknowingly release the Leprechaun from the confines he's been put in, and mayhem ensues. I was pretty surprised the first time I saw this movie that there really wasn't that much slashing, not too many kills, it's relatively lighthearted, but I guess that just makes you focus a little more on the characters and their dynamic, and I think we've got a really good mix here between Tori, Nathan, Ozzy, and Alex. Now, Ozzy and Alex have got their own little fun dynamic, and then Nathan and Tori have theirs as well, so that's really what this film is about, is spending time with those characters, having some fun moments with Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun, and really just eating some popcorn, sipping on a soda, and sitting down with something that's really easy to watch. This movie really does fly by, and I would recommend it to all fans of the horror genre. Like I said, it's not too gory, it's not pumped full of kills, but I think it's really fun and definitely worth the watch, especially if you've never seen it before. And for me, when St. Patty's Day rolls around, it's in my regular rotation. Moving on to the second film in the series, Leprechaun 2 was released in 1994. It was directed by Rodman Flender and sees Warwick Davis reprising his role as the awesome titular Leprechaun, and we also have Charlie Heath and Siobhan Durkin brought into the fray. This one is the roughest out of the bunch in my opinion. There are a few fun performances. We get a cameo by Clint Howard that's kind of fun. Sandy Barron, who you may recognize from Seinfeld, plays Morty, and I always get a kick out of that guy. But our two leads, Cody and Bridget, are just sort of bland. Siobhan Durkin is a very beautiful woman, but not the greatest actress. She has certain deliveries that work, and some that really don't. Charlie Heath puts in a serviceable performance, but after the first act, there's really not much for him to work with. The plot this time around has the leprechaun looking to make Bridget his bride because she is the descendant of the woman he wanted to marry 1,000 years ago. Now he's been trapped in a tree ever since, breaks out, and man, I'm having a tough time remembering the rest of the plot because this movie was so excruciatingly boring that I just kind of memory dumped it. There are shoddy sets that look like they come from low-budget TV shows, but we do get some more creative kills and a cameo from Michael McDonald of Mad TV fame. But I can't recommend this film. I mean, if you like pure schlock, this may be right up your alley. But for me, there just wasn't enough going on in the way of interesting characters or plot points outside of Leprechaun wants girl to keep me interested or invested. But I've got a feeling that we may get lucky with Leprechaun 3. Rounding out the coverage for this video is Leprechaun 3 from 1995. The film was directed by Brian Trenchard Smith and stars John Gattens, Lee Armstrong, and you guessed it, Warwick Davis. Now we're back to having some fun in this series, and not only that, but we've got some really good main characters here, some performers that gel well together, and a bunch of wacky characters. This time it's actually fun. Leprechaun 2, I just thought it was boring. I didn't think there was much fun to be had, but here in Leprechaun 3, they really crank things up, and they lean into the absurdity of the surroundings with the film taking place in Vegas. The story kicks off with our lead character Scott, who's making his way to California for college. He passes through Vegas along his journey, sees a young attractive lady on the side of the street who's having some issues with her vehicle, decides he'll give her a lift to work, and little do they know that the leprechaun is in a pawn shop across the street about to be released. Now this time around, the leprechaun is stuck in this statue form. He has a medallion around his neck, and once the greedy pawn shop owner takes that off, well, he's in a world of trouble. You guys know the story by now. The leprechaun wants his gold. If you've touched it or you have it, he wants it back and he's gonna kill you to get it. Speaking of the kills, they are wild and over the top. This movie embraces the silliness and definitely knows its audience. You've got these two gangster characters that are just hilarious. Every time they're on the screen, I'm laughing. They've got this punchy dialogue, and it's elements like this that really separate this film from the last one. We've also got a couple side plots that keep things interesting. One of them being that our main character Scott gets some of the leprechaun's blood in a wound on his arm, and he actually starts turning into a leprechaun himself. He starts craving potatoes, speaking in an Irish accent, all that kind of stuff. And we can't leave out the sleazy casino owner Mitch, the terrible magician Fazio, and his sort of secretary Loretta, who he just berates and treats terribly. And oh yeah, Elvis makes an appearance. It seems like they really hit the sweet spot with this one. I wouldn't be surprised if Leprechaun 3 is most people's favorite film in the franchise because it's just so much damn fun. I'd say that if you had a good time with the first film, you'll most likely enjoy this one as well. Just know that you're getting into something a little bit crazier. So yeah guys, those are my thoughts on Leprechaun 1 through 3. I had such a great time going back to the first film, revisiting it, finding that I still had a great time watching it. Man, Leprechaun 2 bored me to tears, can't really recommend that one. I'll probably never watch it again. And Leprechaun 3 was an absolute blast. They push things to the nth degree. That film knows exactly what it is and has a great time taking you along for the ride. And of course I couldn't do an entire Leprechaun video without doing me Irish accent. That's gonna wrap it up for our coverage of the first 3 Leprechaun films. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite, and if you want to see me cover the rest of the franchise. You know, we could do Leprechaun in Space, Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood. Gosh, I don't know if I can do that after what I just went through, but if you guys want it, I gotta deliver. Please leave the video a like and click subscribe if you'd like to see more. Until next time, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.